What is PTSD? PTSD is a disorder that develops in some people who have seen or lived through a scary or dangerous event. It's natural to feel afraid during and after a traumatic situation, fight or flight, but if the person continues to feel afraid in a non-threatening situation or place, they're considered to have PTSD. State your name.
My name is Orson Gujani.
Where do you attend school?
I school at UMass Amherst.
And what is your major?
Business major there, studying business management.
Okay. Have you ever heard of PTSD?
I have heard of PTSD, yes.
Do you know what it is?
I know it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder, and I generally associate it with veterans of war. That's usually what I think of.
Okay, what do you think causes PTSD?
Some kind of traumatic event that happened in somebody's life that altered their thinking in some way and gives them stress long term, even after the events have occurred.
Outcomes: fear, angry outbursts, nightmares, sleeplessness, flashbacks, guilt, and suicidal thoughts. Who gets PTSD? PTSD can happen to anyone at any age, even children. The high exposure of children and adolescents to trauma has led to efforts to evaluate its impact, including the development of PTSD. General population surveys indicate 12-month prevalence rates of PTSD to be higher in youths exposed to specific traumatic events such as sexual or physical abuse ages 11 to 19, or those who are in specific environments such as jails and detention centers ages 20 to 24. Okay, have you ever given thought that convicts might develop PTSD after release from jail?
Yes, absolutely. I think they're very prone to getting it because they go through so much while in there. They know that their life after leaving prison is not that great. They don't have much to look forward to, so absolutely I think they can develop it.
What are some instances that you think people get PTSD?
Well, like I said, veterans of war, definitely, they go through so much. I can get to see people in jail, prison getting it, and probably children who go through really traumatic events such as rape or maybe families, falling apart, stuff like that.
Jordan Halliday was incarcerated for a year and a half, and he got out to do good behavior. But he says that he has PTSD from being in jail. He says that while being in jail, there's a lot of mannerisms that he picked up that a normal person wouldn't, especially in order to survive. One would be eating quickly. While in jail, inmates would shield their food and scarf it down in fear that others would steal and eat it. Others include how to use the restroom, sleep, brush your teeth, etc. He says after he got out, certain things would remind him of the life he had in prison. The sound of keys jingling give him anxiety because it reminds him of the guards coming close to his door. Loud noises scare him, and the sight of black and white cars give him a nervous feeling along with the sight of authority figures because it reminds him of the time he was in prison. All of these reactions that he had and non-life-threatening things are signs of PTSD that he had gotten from spending time in jail. Where do you get PTSD? There's no specific place that an individual can get PTSD. It comes about after a traumatic event, and examples of combat, war, household, workplace, school, mall, or public places. Effects on the brain. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex regulates emotions, mainly fear. People with this disorder show a decreased volume in this region, which explains why they exhibit extreme fear and stress when faced with something that isn't connected to their past experience. It also distinguishes from the present memories people get. People with PTSD don't know the difference between what has happened in their past or present. They also lose the ability to distinguish environmental situations. People who are in jail that have PTSD fear of small rooms scare them. The amygdala is a region of the brain that helps us process emotions. When shown things that are remotely similar to experienced PTSD, patients show hyperactivity. If the ex-con was shown a picture of, say, an angry prison guard, they'd show signs of fear, stress, anxiety, and panic. The amygdala is hyperactive, and that if they were shown a picture of a scared person, they would be scared themselves. The hippocampus, ventral medial, prefrontal cortex, and amygdala complete the neural circuitry of stress. What do you think the fatality rates of people with PTSD are?
I can't put an exact number on what the fatality rates would be, but I assume that they are probably higher than what I would think.
Fatality rates. People that suffer from PTSD have a higher fatality rate than the average person. Suicide among released male prisoners is 8 times higher than the national average. 25% of suicides can happen in the first 4 weeks of freedom. A good amount of released prisoners who tried to commit suicide had experienced physical abuse or abandonment as a child, along with substance and alcohol abuse in the home.